Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining this session for our open house for international students. My name is Megan McDonald. I'm one of our student recruitment coordinators here at NSCC, and I'm excited to be sharing a bunch of information with you about programs and applications and housing and financial information, everything you need to know really to kind of get yourself going and ready to apply to NSCC. We've got lots of information to share with you today, and I will be joined in a little bit by some of my colleagues. But I wanted to start some things off today with a couple of important acknowledgements. The first one is a land acknowledgement. NSCC is located in Mi'kma'ki, the unceded territory and traditional homeland of the Mi'kmaq Nation. Our relationship is based on a series of peace and friendship treaties between the Mi'kmaq Nation and the Crown dating back to 1725. As treaty beneficiaries, we recognize that we're all treaty people. I have a recognition as well of African Nova Scotians. NSCC recognizes the African Nova Scotians as a distinct group who arrived here 400 years ago. From that time on, they've contributed to the infrastructure and economic wealth of the towns and cities they helped to build, but from which they could not benefit. Let us learn more about how our respective communities were shaped by the historical contributions of African Nova Scotians to Mi'kma'ki. So if you are tuning in live during our International Student Open House, you will have the opportunity to ask questions as we're going through the session today in the chat. So we've got you muted, your cameras are off, we're not going to be able to see or hear you, but starting right now, if there are questions on your mind, you're welcome to drop them into our chat, and we've got some colleagues who are answering questions live. You'll see as well on screen the international recruitment email address. So if you do have questions, maybe after today's session, you'd like to get in touch with someone about, you're welcome to reach out to us at internationalrecruitment@nscc.ca. And it's also important to note that because the session is being recorded, you may be watching this after open house. Potentially you're finding this on YouTube later on. This is great. This information will be very helpful for you, but I just want to note that this information is accurate as of the week of open house, so January 27th to 31st, 2025. And it may be possible that information changes. Sometimes immigration rules change, for example. So it's just good to kind of keep an eye, just in case anything related to programs or study permits, et cetera, has changed, to refer back to the website just to see if there are any potential updates. So feel free to send those questions in, and we're going to get going. So I'm not doing this alone today. I am joined by three wonderful colleagues here at NSCC. Mike Duggan is a student services advisor providing support to international students. Ryan Demings works with our student awards team. He's the coordinator there, so he'll share lots of great information about the financial side of being a student. And then Kaylee Skinner is our coordinator for housing and transition support. So Kaylee will be joining us in a little bit to let you know about making that move to Nova Scotia, talking about all of the housing side. So first off, here we are, map of Nova Scotia. You will see NSCC has campuses all over the place. We are really all across the province of Nova Scotia in so many different communities. And when you start exploring programs at NSCC, you'll see that some of them are offered at nearly every location. Others are offered at maybe just 1 or 2 or 3 campuses. So you're of course thinking about what it is you'd like to study, but you're also thinking about where you would like to live while you're doing it. Know that as you're exploring, we've got program pages on the website that list, all of the different locations where a program is offered, but we also have campus information pages. So if you wanted to learn more about each campus, we've got pages with videos and some great links to all of the amenities and resources that exist there. So you're welcome to do a little bit of information gathering about the campuses that you're interested in. We have a lot going on at the college. Not only do we have many campuses across Nova Scotia, we also have over 140 programs, which means that we have something for almost every area of interest. So you can see here we've got our kind of broad list of how we organize all of those programs. If you are interested in kind of diving deep, seeing all of the programs that fall under those categories, nscc.ca/programs is a really great place to begin your search. You're able to filter by program type, also by location, so it can be a really good way to focus your search. Now, when we're talking about programs at NSCC, though, it's really important to note that with some relatively recent changes by the RRCC, that we now have a list of programs that are specifically named as eligible for a postgraduate work permit. So we welcome international students into really almost all of our programs. International students are eligible to apply for. But if you're interested in entering a program that will allow you to later put in an application for a postgraduate work permit, which would allow you to stay in Nova Scotia and work after graduation, this is the current list that you want to focus in on. We've got the URL at the bottom of the screen, nscc.ca/PGWP. I encourage you to look back at that later in case you are watching this as a recording, just in case there have been any changes to this list. But these are the ones that you want to take a look at if getting a postgraduate work permit is part of your plan. Something new that's also been added to our website recently is notes on every individual program page, letting you know whether or not a program is eligible for that postgraduate work permit application. So you can see on the left side of my screen, the carpentry certificate, the section that's circled, there's a note there for international students, and it says that the postgraduate work placement eligibility does apply to this program. But it's important to know that not all program deliveries will be postgraduate work permit eligible. Typically, we're looking at a program that's full-time, and you're spending the majority of that learning time in person on campus. So if you're looking at a program that's part-time or a blended flex option, likely that's not going to qualify for the postgraduate work permit. So take a look at that section on each program page and you can view the eligibility requirements right there. On the right side of the screen, the cosmetology program, you'll note that that one is not eligible for a postgraduate work permit. So if you wanted to come to NSCC and study cosmetology, you certainly could, but just note that at this time, it wouldn't qualify you to later apply for that work permit. Another thing to consider when you're looking at program options is the seat availability and whether or not a program is waitlisted. So this is a screenshot that we've pulled from one of those program pages. You can see a series of tabs going across the top, overview, locations, admission requirements. Clicking on the locations and availability tab will let you know, first of all, the next intake that the program is available for. It's also going to let you know which campus or campuses. Is the program full-time, part-time? It's going to talk about the delivery. And then under availability, you'll be able to see if the program at a specific campus location has seats available or if it's waitlisted. This is important for a couple of reasons. One, if there's seats available, then there is just generally a better chance that you could be offered a seat in that intake. But the other thing that really comes into play for international applicants is that you are able to be added to a waitlist. However, the waitlist space for you will expire every year. So if we are looking at a program like this one that has quite a multi-year waitlist, that's what that little circled exclamation point is signifying. It means that you could be added to this waitlist, but once September 2025 comes around, we're going to remove you from it. You won't be able to stay on the waitlist into a future intake. So I would recommend, checking out this information and probably, really focusing on spending time applying to the locations where you see that there are seats available, simply because it's going to give you the best chance at a program seat. So check out that availability section on all of the program pages. Another bit of important information that you can find on program web pages are the admission requirements for a program. So you can see here, next tab, right beside admission or locations and availability, you'll find admission requirements. Admission requirements are really different for every program at NSCC, so you want to make sure that you take a look at those. You'll also see under the admission requirements section that we have a link that will take you to the document and language requirements by country. So this will help you determine what kind of education documents you'll need to provide, and also whether or not you're going to need to provide language test results. It really depends on whether or not you have previous education in Canada or in another country where we don't require language testing from, or maybe you've attended one of our English language partner schools, or potentially you're coming from a country where we don't require language testing. There are some reasons why you wouldn't need to provide testing, but you'll be able to click on that link and find your country and then see whether or not we require language testing there. If you have questions about that eligibility, you're welcome to always send us an email and we can help you get all of the right details. So when we're looking at NSCC, as a whole, campus, college rather, with so many different programs and opportunities, I think there's, certainly many reasons why international students are interested in coming to study with us. But some that really stand out to me are, first of all, we are so hands-on in the way that students are learning. You can see in this photo a student from our aviation program. You're really there in spaces getting your hands on the tools, the equipment, the software, for example, that you'll need when you're heading out into industry. And that hands-on learning happens in classrooms with pretty small class sizes. Usually in NSCC class, we see typically on average about 20 to 30 students in a classroom, though we certainly have some programs that have smaller classes than that. So that means you really get to know everyone in your cohort. You get to know the faculty who are teaching you. Those faculty members are coming from industry, so they've got lots of great experience to share. And the majority of our programs include work experience. So work placements, co-op placements, and those can be really, really helpful when it comes time to apply for jobs after graduation, because you'll have some great experience on your CV and some references that you can call on. We've got the URL nscc.ca/programs and courses at the bottom of the screen. That's a really good spot to start your program search. So our next section is student supports. Mike Duggan, you are welcome to hop on screen now and share some information about your department.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everybody. So again, my name is Mike. I am an international student supports advisor here at Ivany campus in Dartmouth. My role, and there are other international student supports people at other campuses across Nova Scotia. My role and their role is to support international students on a bunch of different things that they might need support on coming into NSCC, while they are a student at NSCC, and as they transition out of NSCC on the next step of their path when they are done NSCC. So myself and my other colleagues, we really help international students and all students with things like how NSCC policies will work as they transition in and while they're a student and while they transition out. We help students understand their health insurance, when to use the correct health insurance, how much their health insurance is, and how to submit claims to their health insurance throughout their program. We will also help out with employment resources. So personally, I really enjoy doing things like resume workshops or practice interviews with students as they're looking for part-time jobs going through their program. Or many of our programs, as you may know, require a work placement or a clinical in the middle of their program, but especially at the very end of their program. And the advisors and the student services teams at your campus will be able to help you prepare for those jobs and for those interviews and preparing resumes. I also work on a student services team that includes personal counselors who you can go talk to if something's on your mind and you're just looking for a little bit of extra support and mental wellness throughout your program. I also work with teammates who work on accessibility, where some students get some advice or get some supports to academically get through their program. I really enjoy helping students connect with tutors, whether it's tutoring for their program, or we have a pretty good English language support system here at the college, where if you're a English as an additional language speaker and you just need a little tiny bit of support to get through your program, we have some really great English language support folks who can help get people through their program. We also really encourage and we help international students connect with other international students, whether that is through our international orientation that happens before the programs start, We have a very amazing international ambassadors system throughout all of NSCC, where international students are putting on special events and activities for other international students. And we really encourage everybody to be a part of that and experience Nova Scotia and all of the wonderful things that we have to offer here in the province. The other really big thing that we offer international students through student services is access to immigration advisors. So if you have questions about your study permit or your co-op work permit, most of you are going to need a co-op work permit. I really hope that you get your co-op work permit with your study permit. We have an international advisor who can specialize in those immigration related questions. Many of our students are looking to transition into a postgraduate work permit. And again, our immigration advisor will do information sessions, and they have created guides on how to help that transition into a postgraduate work permit. So those are kind of the services, those are some of the pieces that we offer at NSCC all across Nova Scotia. Each campus has their own student services support to kind of help you, again, come into NSCC, become a student, and then as you transition out after convocation. So those are the pieces that I was going to pop on to this presentation and talk to everybody about. If you have questions, be sure to put those into the chat and we'll get connected and we'll be able to answer anything that folks might have or connect you to the right person to answer those questions.
Great, thank you so much, Mike. I'd like to invite Ryan Demings to hop on now to talk about the financial preparedness and cost of living aspect.
Thanks, Megan, and thanks everyone for having me here today. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about financial preparedness, student awards, kind of a smorgasbord of financial things. So to be successful at NSCC, you really need to understand the full financial picture. So what would it take to cover your tuition, your fees, your program costs, as well as your monthly expenses while living at school? In speaking with many students over the past 6 years that I've been here, I found that many are not actually financially prepared for the big picture. Of course, your college expenses such as tuition, college fees, books, etc., are a big part of being financially prepared. But your living expenses, including like your rent or mortgage, food, utilities, personal expenses, and even having funds available for emergency situations are just as important. So financially preparing for an unseen circumstance is key so that you're not thrown off track during your academic year. So consider the time you spend as an investment in you and your career. So we highly recommend that, in planning and preparing to possibly come to NSCC, to use your time wisely to develop a money plan or budget and explore all the funding options that you may have at your disposal, to help fund your education and your cost of living while here. And that could be, looking at your personal savings, savings from a job, familial support, private loans, etc., so that you're aware of what resources you have and what you might need to do to make up any shortfalls before school starts. So the government of Canada has issued some regulations for international students as far as financial preparedness is concerned. So international students are required to demonstrate that they're financially prepared to study and live in Canada. It's required that international students have financial sufficiency for the first year of studies, regardless of the length of the program. So for those coming for a multi-year program, it should be clear that you will have financial resources available to you for your remaining years of study as well. So for an international student who is coming on their own, the government of Canada requires that you have a minimum of $20,635 Canadian for a 12-month period, which is prorated at around $1,719.58 per month just to live in Canada. That's not including the cost of your tuition and fees for the year either. So you would be required to have $20,635 minimum plus the cost of your tuition, college fees, books, etc. And please note on this slide too that you'll see if you have people coming with you, say you have a spouse or dependent child, you'll have to add on the additional funds noted there on this slide to your budget. And more information can be found at the link there. And Megan's going to jump in and speak about tuition, program costs, and fees.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ryan. So when we're talking about tuition for international students, we've got kind of two different sections here. So I'm going to start with just kind of our general tuition cost. So once you have applied to NSCC and you've been accepted and you've decided to take that seat, the first payment you're going to make is a $5,000 tuition deposit. This is an amount that we ask for you to, confirm that seat. And the $5,000 is subtracted from the overall tuition amount that is due each year, which is $11,690 currently. This tuition deposit is refundable if you don't receive a study permit, but non-refundable otherwise. So if you do have questions about that, certainly feel free to connect with us. One other thing to note is you will see that the tuition amounts we have on screen right now are for 2024, 2025. And for folks watching right now, you're likely thinking about studying in 2025, 2026 and beyond. Our tuition amounts are announced in the spring every year. So if there are any changes made to these amounts, you'll be able to find that information updated on our website once that announcement is made. But this is going to be a good guideline for you at this stage, just to give you a sense of what potential costs are. You'll also see we've got the address at the bottom of the screen, nscc.ca/program fees. That will include other additional costs that you should consider. So there's different types of, say health and dental insurance, student fees. Programs may also have requirements for specific textbooks, technology, etc. So this is really that base tuition amount, and there will be additional costs on top of that that you can find online through the tuition section of your program on the program page. And then when we're looking at kind of our second set of tuition costs here, these are specifically for folks who are in Nova Scotia through the NSISP program studying in a Nova Scotia high school, or if you have a CUAET permit, which is common for folks coming from Ukraine. We have special agreements through these organizations to provide domestic tuition rates. So these students would still be paying that $5,000 tuition deposit in order to secure their program seat, but then subsequent tuition payments will be adjusted. So for the majority of our programs, we're looking at $3,620 a year. And then you'll see as the type of program changes, we have a number of different other costs here. I'll pass it back to you, Ryan, for some scholarship information.
Thanks, Megan. NSCC offers $3 million in funding annually in the form of scholarships, awards, and bursaries. Student awards are non-repayable funds intended to support your education here at NSCC. So our awards are based on criteria such as financial need, demonstrated leadership, volunteer experience in your community, your career interests, etc. Here at NSCC, we have two main cycles of awards. So we have our spring awards, which open in mid to late March and close at varying times throughout this late spring, early summer, with the end date of the last bunch usually closing in July. These awards are for the upcoming fall term they would be. And in the fall term, we open up awards for winter term. So these awards open up mid-September and close at mid to end October. So there are different chances, students have different chances to apply for awards throughout the academic year as well. A few things to consider though. So if you're an incoming international student, you aren't allowed to, or aren't permitted, to apply for any awards that have financial need as an awards criteria. And that's because you do, as we previously spoke about in a past slide, you have to demonstrate your financial preparedness to come to Canada. So incoming international students, however, can apply for awards that have other merit components, so such as academic merit, or if it's for career interests, your volunteerism, as long as it doesn't have financial need as an eligibility criteria. Students coming internationally for their first year of study, they can apply for other awards. However, once international students are here in their second term of study, they can apply for any type of award that we have, including financial need-based awards. There are no full tuition entrance awards, scholarships, or bursaries for international students, so that's important to note. And another thing too is that receiving a student award is not a given, Students should never rely on receiving an award to help fund their education or in their financial preparedness. It's a nice thing to get, but don't bank on getting an award to help fund your education. And more information on our awards program can be found at nscc.ca/awards. And I have a slide here about external funding. So this is on you, the onus would be on you as a potential student, that you can seek out external funding in your home country through community, private institutions, and government. However, there are some over-encompassing or all-encompassing websites that you could check out to see if there are any awards that could potentially be of interest to you and that you might be eligible for. There are options such as scholarshipscanada.com and wyconic.com, and you can see the URLs there in this slide. And you can also visit nscc.ca/financial aid to explore alternative funding options that you may be eligible for as well. We're going to bring Kaylee in now to talk about cost of living.
Hi, folks. As Ryan mentioned, there is a requirement to show financial preparedness when you are working with immigration through the federal government. And we have done a cost of living survey with students to help folks better prepare for that beyond the tuition costs. So in the next few slides, we're going to be highlighting some key financial considerations as well as resources that can help you plan that financial preparedness side. So highlighting the cost of living website, which is on our international students site, we have information broken down by rent, utilities, tenants insurance, temporary accommodations. We do recommend that when you're using this guide, you're using the median or maximum costs to create your budget, because as we're seeing, things are starting to cost more, and having planned for the maximum costs allows you the most amount of success when financially planning. So what are the typical costs? Without having to go through the website, I wanted to highlight that students typically spend between $16,000 to $18,000 monthly on living costs. This depends on your geographical location, so where in the province you end up living, but it also excludes some of the general preparedness, including winter clothing and weather appropriate clothing, childcare, and moving expenses. So this is just month-to-month costs. In that survey that I had previously mentioned, we asked students what they thought would be required to live comfortably in Nova Scotia. And the majority of students responded that $2,000 Canadian per month would be required to live comfortably. So on our, as I mentioned, the cost of living webpage, when you're preparing your financial situation to study, you're going to want to consider your rent, your utilities, having rentals insurance, weekly and monthly grocery costs, phone plan costs, which are varied in Canada, internet, weather appropriate clothing, transportation, childcare, and if you do arrive prior to a lease start, making sure that you have a budget for the temporary accommodations that will support you until your lease begins. What are some budgeting tools you can use to think about your tuition and your living costs? We have NSCC Money Matters Financial Planner, COF, which is Knowledge of Financial Education Budgeting Tool, and the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada Budget Planner. These three tools will help you plan not just for the tuition costs, but to make sure that you are financially successful in building a great financial foundation for your academic studies. And this all plays into housing. You need to have that financial foundation so you can be successful in securing safe and affordable housing. If you study at 6 of our campuses, there is campus housing. So Straight Area Campus, Pictou Campus, Truro Campus, Akerley, Ivany, and Center of Geographic Sciences all have campus housing as an option. But if you live in any other community within Nova Scotia or in any other campus location, you're going to be looking at community housing, which is off-campus housing supports. As mentioned, 6 of the campuses have campus housing. There is an application process. You'll have to go on our website to keep up to date with when applications open, how to apply, which is nscc.ca/housing. But Annapolis Valley to Straight Area, Truro, Akerley, Pictou, and Ivany have beautiful rooms and suites available. A lot are in situations where you would be living with roommates, but costs include your internet, your utilities, laundry, and so it does become a very affordable and a really great community as an option if you are at these 6 campuses. Now, let's say you are at one of the other campuses, or you have applied for campus housing after applying for NSCC, and maybe you end up on the wait list for campus housing. There are off-campus housing supports. So we have a screenshot here of our housing website. Through this, you can go to our contact form for campus-specific information and resources. And there are also online resources through this about knowing your rights as a tenant. That's really important as you're starting to sign leases and what a typical process of living in Nova Scotia is. But also through this, you're able to access one-on-one housing planning meetings with me, where I can talk to you about your housing plan or how you hope to go through your housing search. And again, use that contact us form to get a hold of the campus-specific resources and a booking link for one-on-one appointments with me. And one of the other resources we have to help you be prepared for your search, but also to live in Nova Scotia, is the new Living in Nova Scotia resource guide. It is a guide designed to help students prepare for living in your learning community, and it covers topics such as culture and weather, all the way to Residential Tenancies Act, which is the legal act that helps protect tenants, all the way to living in your community, sustainability, how to recycle. And there is a quiz at the end where you can take it and receive a statement of completion. And before I pass it back to Megan, I do want to make a note for anybody that is planning to study at NSCC and planning to move to Nova Scotia for studies about pets and housing. I included this because NSCC international students have highlighted that this is one of the most important pieces of information for folks that want to travel with pets. Students have said that they did not recognize how challenging moving with pets was and how expensive pet care was in Nova Scotia. If you're moving with pets, it's important to research pet insurance, the typical vet costs in Nova Scotia, and know that the housing options may be very limited because in Nova Scotia, property owners have the legal right to add rules to not permit pets, only allow certain sized pets, certain animals, or only allowing pets in specific areas. The only exemption to this is certified service dogs that have been registered under the Nova Scotia Service Dog Act. So this means if you're moving with pets, it may be more difficult to find a rental or a home off campus or on campus. And the only exemption to the legal classification where property owners can add rules with pets is the certified service dogs under the Nova Scotia Service Dog Act.
Thank you so much, Kaylee. It's all such important information, knowing about student supports and the financial pieces and housing. So really appreciate all of the information that's been shared today by my colleagues. I wanted to share before we say goodbye some next steps. So say you found the program you're interested in, you're feeling ready to apply. Note that April 1st each year is our deadline for applications. So this being January 2025, April 1st, 2025 will be our deadline for the September 2025 and January 2026 application. So those intakes, we need to have those apps in for April 1st. Also know that on the NSCC application, you're able to select a first choice programming campus, and you have the option to select a second choice programming campus as well. We always prioritize someone's first choice, but if, for example, that program is full at that campus, then we can take a look at your second choice. This, between the first and second choices, it could be the same program at 2 different campuses. It could be different programs at the same campus. Any combination is fine. Just know that we really do look at those in order of preference. So first choice being your main choice, the one that you'd prefer, and then your second choice is a bit of a backup. The application fee is going to be $100 for international students, and that's just paid through the application portal online. So it can be paid through a credit card, Visa debit card. And note as well, I mentioned this earlier, that when it comes to programs with waitlists, that international students can't stay on a waitlist from year to year. So I do encourage you, when you're looking at programs, to see which campuses have available seats, which ones are waitlisted, and that may help guide your choice when it comes to selecting those options for application. And then your tuition payments will be due in August and January every year. Here's just kind of slice of the application process. So here it is at a glance to give you an idea of what you can expect. For most applicants, you are applying to NSCC directly yourselves. You're completing the online application through our website. And you can see here at the bottom of the screen, nscc.ca/apply. That's where you'll be able to find the application. Now, note that if you are an applicant from Nigeria or Ghana, things will work a little bit differently for you. We've enlisted the help of an in-country partner to manage that application process. So when you go to nscc.ca/apply and you put in the country that you're coming from, then if you are from Nigeria or Ghana, the website will give you an email address where you'll reach out to that in-country partner, let them know that you're interested in applying, and then they'll be in touch with your next steps. So once you've done that online application, you're going to send all of your required documents to documents@nscc.ca. So this heads to our admissions team, and you'll of course know which documents you need to send by looking on that program page link I shared earlier in the session. And also, if you are someone with a current study permit or a work permit, send that in as well, because that can be helpful information for us. Once everything's been received, our admissions team is going to review your application. And then for successful applicants, we will reach out to you via email and we'll offer you a program seat at NSCC. In order to accept that seat, you'll then at that time pay that $5,000 tuition deposit. Once that's been received, we're going to send you a provincial attestation letter, or a PAL. And this is the document that you'll then need to apply for a study permit and a co-op work permit. If you wanted a bit more information about the study and co-op work permit details, the application process, you can find that on our website. On that international student side that we've been speaking about for lots of different resources, we've got the URL here at the bottom of the screen. If you go to the immigration tab there, you'll see a section for study and co-op work permits. In order to study at NSCC, you need a study permit and you need that co-op work permit. So you'll find more information here. And you're always welcome to reach out to the admissions team. The admissions team are the folks who will be receiving your documents that you send to documents@nscc.ca. They can also help answer questions about your application. So they do have a phone number here. We've got it on screen. They're open generally 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday to Friday, or you can reach them through email as well. Really appreciate everyone joining us today. Once again, feel free to send in any questions that you have to internationalrecruitment@nscc.ca. And on behalf of myself and Mike and Ryan and Kaylee, I will say goodbye. Thanks, everybody.